Driving Test UK, the short notice driving test specialist.
Hello there, my name is Shaq. In today's video, I shall be talking about the turn in the road exercise. This is marked under section 6 of the driving test report, officially known as the DL25. Now, before the examiner can ask you to carry out this exercise, he or she will ask you to pull up on the left somewhere conveniently safe. Make it easy for yourself by stopping away from parked cars and hazards. Do not feel under pressure to stop straight away when the examiner asks you to do so. This exercise is commonly called the 3-point turn. However, in the driving test, the driving examiner will use the following words. I would like you to turn this vehicle around, facing the opposite direction, using both forward and the reverse gears. Please try, avoid touching the curb. During the exercise, the driving examiner will be marking you on two things. The first is control, and the second is observations. Listen carefully to the examiner's words. You will find a lot of useful information. Firstly, he does not use the words 3-point turn. The second bit of information that the driving examiner gives you is in the phrase, avoid touching the curb. He does not say, do not touch the curb. If the road was wide enough to carry out the manoeuvre in 3 moves, but you carried it out in, let's say, 5, you would not fail the driving test. You would get a minor mistake for it. Many learner drivers think that if they touch the curb, they would fail the driving test. This is not true. If you touch the curb, you would get a minor fault. However, if you were to hit the curb, you would get a serious mistake and you would fail the whole driving test. So the big question is, what is the difference between touching the curb and hitting the curb? Let me just touch the steering wheel for you. I touch the steering wheel. Now I'm going to hit the steering wheel. So, what's the difference? The difference is basically the speed. So, if during your driving test you were going very, very slow, you were crawling along at 1 mile per hour and you felt the curb, put the handbrake on, into reverse gear, and you just reverse back. That would be a minor mistake. But let's say you were driving forward at 10 miles per hour. That touch would then become a hit. I said to you earlier that the driving examiner was marking you on two things. First was control, and the second is observations. Observations is just as important, if not more important, than control. If you make a mistake with control, you can usually correct it. However, once you've made a mistake with observations, it's very difficult to correct. So, observation basically means that your path must be clear. So you must make sure it's clear. So if you're going forward, look through the side, make sure the whole front is clear. When you're reversing back, make sure you're looking back. Not in the mirror, not in the rear view mirror, but physically turn around and look through the back window. At least 50% of your observations must be done through the back window whilst you're reversing. Focus not just on the road, but on the pavement as well. If you see any vehicles, any bicycles, any pedestrians, stop, and then assess the situation. Proceed only if it's safe to do so. During this exercise, there are three things that learner drivers sometimes struggle with. The first is the steering. They forget which way to steer. It's quite straightforward if you think about it. If you're in first gear, simply turn the wheel where you want the front of the car to go. So if you want the front of the car to go towards the left, you steer towards the left. If you want the front of the car to go towards the right, you steer towards the right. Now, when you're in reverse gear, you simply steer the vehicle where you want the back of the car to go. This is where many learner drivers go wrong, because they look over their shoulder and they want the back of the car to go that way, towards the examiner. So they say, oh, I want the car to go towards my right. But when they turn around, your right hand comes this way and they turn in the wrong direction. So rather than use the word right and left, steer towards the examiner or away from the examiner. The examiner is not going to move his position. So if you're looking back, you want the back of the car to go that way, you say to yourself, I'm going to steer towards the examiner. So once you come forward, you steer towards the examiner. So that's the steering resolved. The other thing that some learner drivers struggle with is they find it difficult to judge how far the kerb is. You can use reference points. On the Vauxhall Corsa, for example, the reference point for going forward is the driver's mirror. You'd go forward until the mirror just about overhangs the kerb and stop. When you're going back, the reference point is just the bottom right of the driver's window. That should just about be touching the kerb. However, some learner drivers get confused with the reference points. You can always open the window and pop your head out. You can look at the wheels. There is nowhere written in the driving test that you cannot open the window and pop your head out. That way, you know exactly where the kerb is. Okay, so we've got that problem solved. The third problem we said that some learner drivers struggle with is observation. Basically, the slower you're going, the more observations you can make. However, you must remember that before every stage, you must look all around before continuing. So you start off doing it before you start the manoeuvre. Look all around the vehicle. You go forward, make sure you look all around the vehicle before going back, and then look all around the vehicle again before going forward. That way you'd pass on control and you'd pass on observation, thus passing your driving test. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have, then please give us a thumbs up. If you're a subscriber, then continue watching and sharing. If you're new to this channel, then please consider subscribing. Thank you for watching.